All right, man, we back at it. MadStrange podcast. We're here on Mission Avenue. We're here with one of the pioneers of Oceanside hip hop, Slim.
What's going on? What's going
We got
on?
one of the biggest stars coming from the city, Bishop Snow.
What's going on?
Yeah, man, we get the opportunity, man. So we've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years. The first guest we ever had was your brother,
Right.
and it was literally 3 years almost to this date.
Baby love.
From there, we ended up having DJ Rec. And multiple times, man, your name kept getting brought up.
Right,
Like,
right.
man, y'all got to get Slim on. You got to get Slim on. And we would post and make different things. And again, your name would always get brought up, man. So it is an honor to have you.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Nah,
man.
for sure, man. It's love, yeah.
Yeah.
But, nah, man, Mission Avenue 2 just came out. Album just dropped. When the album dropped?
The album dropped on July 1st. So we just hit a week. It'll be tomorrow. Will be the first week that everything is wrapped up. The first week it went well.
How do you, like, I think your first album dropped in 2022, right?
Yeah, the beginning of 2022. So I dropped my first project, Lord Forgive Me, January 15th, 2022. So it's been just 2 years of just consistent, just grinding.
And it's crazy, man, because you went from, like, in 2 year span, you have gone from, like, having 5,000 followers on Instagram to have like 350,000 followers or something like that on Instagram,
yeah.
man. So how, like, has that experience been for you, man? Because it kind of feels like you can't go nowhere now.
It's definitely a blessing.
It's great to have, and to be able to be recognized for the things that I've been able to try and do over the time. And I went from, when I first started doing this, I was at 2,000 followers, and then now I'm at like 302 exactly. So
Yeah.
I mean, within that 2 years, just pressing and just putting out content and just utilizing the reels and pushing my music, and watching it kind of go across the world. It's cool. And I mean, it happens, of course, in California and Los Angeles. People recognize me, but to go to Vegas, to go to Phoenix, I was in Phoenix back in November, and left and right, it was like people asked me for pictures in the mall, at the club. DJs have my music in a playlist, and one of the shoe cleaners at one of the malls started rapping "When I'm Gone" to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought he was gonna ask me to clean my shoes, but then he started rapping one of my tracks. So it's crazy, but I mean, it's like I said, it's a blessing. It's a blessing all in itself, and to be able to pray about everything, but also put in the work at the same time and watch it kind of grow to what it has. I'm grateful beyond words.
I think one of the dope things for us from here in the city is also, like, you're a very approachable person. And so, like, we all knew you before you kind of were, and like became like this Instagram, like TikTok, known individual. So, like, to see like these past 2 years of you like really trending, but because of all the work, I think, as far as from the city and everyone who knows you, which a lot of people know you, you were already well known in Oceanside. Had nothing to do with rap. You just, a very well known person in the city. So I think it's, for us, we all feel like we've been on this journey with you. So
which I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to have that, and for people to have like grown and watch me kind of grow with the music, and just kind of change the mindset as well, and just become a different person altogether. With the foundation still being there, but obviously changing the mindset and changing the work ethic and applying different things to my lifestyle, so that way I could get to where I want to be ultimately. It's great. It's a great feeling.
And I think it's always very important to start with the home base, right? Like, especially when music, because music's so regional, that it's important. We just seen that with like Kendrick Lamar, like having your city behind you so much means, like, it's everything. But like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, man, you were filming a video out in Vegas. Y'all flew out to Vegas to film a video. I seen this dude on a horse, like in Vegas, and the whole city, like, or everyone in that like behind you, like, and there for your video. Like, how was that to like know that now your music has crossed over?
It's dope.
To a different state.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I've kind of been able to, based off my music reaching to Vegas and all these other places and all these other states, it's like I've been able to that's kind of how I built that friendship with a lot of people out in Vegas. So over time, just going to Vegas back and forth, just kind of on a social thing, not really even on a business level, and being able to build that, and then to where when I did want to do that music video, it was like everyone in Vegas was supportive of it. Everyone that I knew in Vegas that I had already had interactions with and kicked it with, drank with, partied with, they were like, all right, let's make it happen. You know what I mean? Let us support you. And it's cool. It's like it's an organic feeling, you know what I mean? And it's great to have that organic feeling with that kind of growth, and even with here back home, I wouldn't have a story to tell without this city.
Right.
These like this whole city, you know, at times it's you know, his home is beautiful. It tortured me at some points, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
mentally, physically, everything. But it helped me grow into who I am, and it gave me this story to tell, so that way, you know, people could hear it, people could relate to it from all different, you know, walks of life. You know what I mean, and it can help people ultimately. So that's kind of.
And I think it was last year. You were telling me, we were talking, and you were saying like you went out there to hang out with your brother and your dad because that's where they stay.
Yep.
And I think you went to the barbershop or something like that. And
Yeah.
then your brother's barber was like, "Hey man, is that Bishop?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then he started playing your music like in the
Yeah.
barbershop. I think that's when you knew like,
Yeah.
oh damn, like
Yeah, that was one
Yeah.
of the first signs. I mean, there's been a few signs to where it kind of like was reaching like that, but that was one of them because they just started playing it. They didn't even say anything to me yet.
Right.
They just started playing it, and I just started laughing. I was like, yeah,
That's
like
right.
that's me. You know what I mean?
Well, that's love, man. And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons, man, that I thought this would be a good opportunity to bring you on
Right.
is, man, for all the listeners and people watching this, like that know Bishop, you know, and know that he's from Oceanside, but to get a history of like what Oceanside is, who Oceanside is, and man, Bishop's one of the ones carrying the flags for the city right now.
Right.
But
Sure.
you're one of the first to ever carry the flags for the city when it comes to the hip hop, you know, and rap. And so, man, who's Slim, man? Like growing up in Oceanside, where you from? Like, how'd you get into music?
Well, initially I was born in Hawaii.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's where my roots is. Well, not my roots. Pops in the military. You know what I'm saying? But they from Pittsburgh.
And that's a big part of Oceanside.
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
For those that don't know, we got a military town right
They
next
was in the
yeah.
well, Pops was in the military.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then after Moms and Pops broke up, we moved to the projects
Mhm.
in Pittsburgh. And you know how the projects is. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Northview Heights,
Mhm.
LZ and Nellis. You know what I'm saying? And then growing up, you know, you get to busting down houses, stealing cars, taking them to the projects. Mom's like, "You out of here." So then I hit Oceanside. You know what I'm saying?
But what brought you out here? So, like, the whole fam came out here, or?
Well, I had family out here.
Okay,
You know
okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Pops came out here, and then I just called my family, and then they was from South Though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So when I first pulled up, they all had S hats on, so I thought they played for like a little baseball league or something.
Yeah.
I ain't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was a South Though homie, so I just started mixing and mingling. Went to school, you know what I mean, Ocean Shores, and started navigating through the city. You know what I mean? And the first hip hop that I heard was the Damn Posse. You interviewed Frankie Z.
Yeah.
So that was my cousin T's and them. You know what I mean? But I always rapped. I always loved hip hop, even when I was young. Like '82, that's when rats in the front room, roaches in the back. You know what I'm saying? And we in the project, so that's my love for hip hop. Hearing that over the courtyard, that playing. You know what I'm saying? That's when I got absorbed in the music. You know what I mean? So I just brought it with me.
How old were you when you got?
I probably was like 15.
You're 15.
Yeah,
Okay.
15.
This is like the '80s, so it's the '80s.
89,
89.
90.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So what was Oceanside like that? Like, how was Oceanside in '89? Especially because you said you came to South O. So, like,
it
for those
was,
that don't know, South O is one of the coastal parts of,
Right,
you know, it's on the
right.
south side of
So
the
Buccaneer
coast.
Park was the
Yeah.
location where all the homies kicked it at. You know what I'm saying? Oside was active.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was active. Car pull up, 4 doors pop out, and they get cracking on you. You know what I'm saying? So that was the era as far as Oceanside. But as far as the hip hop, I just love the music. So then that's when I met Big Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And Revelation. And then they took me to L.A., and that's when I met No Sense.
Yeah.
But,
IBS.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
IBS.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, he Dada. He like one of Snoop's main videographers right now.
Okay.
So he introduced me to him, and he was cool with Julio G from 92.3 The Beat. So we started doing radio drops for Julio G on the radio.
What year is this?
This was 94 or something like that, I believe.
So you're
I'm
like
not
19, 20.
Yeah. So we started doing radio drops. We did the 9 o'clock bomb and the Mix Master show, you know what I'm saying? And Eazy-E, his slot was next. So when he came, he heard us. So he told the homie, like, man, I want to sign them. You know what I mean?
So Eazy pulls up to 92.3.
Yeah, because his slot was next right after Julio G.
Okay. And you guys are there doing drops for Julio G.
Right. So he heard it, and he was like, man, who is that? And who they signed with? And Julio G was cool with Dada, so he was like, man, that's the IBS. He like, man, I want him. And it just like went so fast. We did a show in Artesia at Peppers, and then Eazy-E flew us to Cleveland, and we did a show with Bone. He threw us in the rap pages in the Source magazine on the Ruthless Relativity page. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that was a cool little experience out there. You know what I'm saying?
So at that time, so who are you with when you say us? Like who?
It's me, No Sense, which is Dada. You know what I'm saying? And Revelation. Ghost was in the pen. He had caught a robbery.
Okay.
So he was in the pen. Matter of fact, Ghost was the first one that I met, and he showed me a flyer, and he wanted me to be down with the IBS. You know what I'm saying? But he left, and then I met Revelation. It was kind of God sent. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know that he was connected to Ghost. So then that's when I went to LA, and then that's how I started, man.
So how was that, like, connecting with Eazy-E, and then how's the city at that time, like, behind the music and all that?
Well, back in the days, you know what I'm saying, technology was different. So it was basically cassettes and CDs, you know what I'm saying, and a lot of radio play. Back in them days, it was a lot of radio play. So when we was on the radio, dudes was in the pen, you know what I'm saying, with they Super 3s on the yard, hearing our stuff. So it was basically like word of mouth, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, that's how it went, man. It was a blessing. Then I'm in the South, though. I'm on the couch one day, and Eazy-E passed away. So that kind of broke us up a little bit. I'm like, damn. And then, you know, we turned to the streets, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
So just going back to the Eazy-E thing, man, like, how was, like, meeting Eazy-E? Like, what was that experience like? Because I think recently they did a documentary on him, and, you know, we get to hear stories about him. You know, I grew up listening to NWA, and, like, I think Let Me Ride was, like, the first rap song as a kid that I remember all the lyrics to, especially at that time, because that was, like, the West Coast was at the forefront of hip-hop, period. I think, you know, the West Coast was really blown up, but, like, what was your experiences like with Eazy? Because even Coach Frank Z told us me and Eazy-E and me and Dre back in the days.
Eazy-E
like,
was cool, man. He invited us up to the radio station, 92.3 The Beat, you know what I mean? So he interviewed us on there, and it was just a vibe, man, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, Eazy was cool. Matter of fact, Eazy had a concert in San Diego, and my baby mama went to the concert, and she told him, like, oh, yeah, you know the IBS that you about to sign, he at the house right now. Eazy-E came from the concert to our house off of Sycamore. Came in there with 2 bodyguards. Mark Henry was there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was just a vibe, man.
He pulled up to North County.
Yeah, man. He really wanted to sign his contracts, and everything was in the making. The people who are close with Eazy, they know the story, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was just a blessing. Yep.
Man, that's like, and that's something I never even heard of, like having someone from Oceanside connected to Ruthless.
Yeah, man. Matter of fact, we was on the Ruthless Relativity page with Mary J. Blige on the front. When she had that little chrome outfit on, yeah.
And so at that time, you're thinking, okay, like,
Come
this
on,
is
man.
it.
What? Man, we turned up. You know what I'm saying? Eazy-E, that's like the father of gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? Besides Ice-T.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So when he passed, like, what was, like, I guess, I mean, where were you at that moment? Like, he passed, and then now it was like,
man, you know,
Ruthless kind of just at that moment wasn't going to move forward with music, or they didn't know what was going on.
I don't know specifically what happened, like as far as Rufus, but I think his wife took over, and I'm not too sure. So, but we didn't continue, so we ended up dropping the IBS album under Navarre, PR Records, and then, you know what I'm saying, it really didn't go nowhere after that. You know what I mean? So I started hustling. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I thought that was the wave right there. Like, man, we own. What? Eazy-E came to the O, we own. And then, unfortunately, I started hustling, man, and it cost me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got sentenced to 18 years. You know what I'm saying?
This is like 195, or what year is this?
Nah. I got sentenced in 2007.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, you know, after that, I just started hustling. Getting little jobs here and there, trying to, you know what I'm saying, make it happen for myself. That wasn't working, so I went to the big leagues, unfortunately. Yeah. You know what I mean? I still love hip-hop, though.
Yeah, how was, like, trying to do music on your own at that time, like even trying to get connected to a studio? Let's say you put out a song, what's that process like back in those days in regards to, like, you know, Bishop can essentially go in the back right now, record a song, you know, they can do the video tomorrow, and it's on Spotify and YouTube by Tuesday. Yeah, like days. How was it like at that time trying to get access?
Back in them days, we was messing with No Sense. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So he had the studio up there, so we really had to drive to LA.
So that was even a process. Like
so we go to LA every weekend and record. You know what I mean? But after that, we really wasn't making too much music after that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we still kept it in the heart, though. You know what I mean? So, but that's what happened, man.
other than like Coach Z, who else was out, or DJ Frank Z, who else was out there doing?
Coach Z.
Yeah, I know. Who else out here was doing music like that you can remember?
Back in them days, well, the homies always told me about Kid Flash. Kid
Mhm.
Flash is from Oceanside. He had Hot Like Fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he went like kind of mainstream with that. But as far as the locals, you had Hunchback, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the Fourth Waver, Click,
Mm-hmm.
and Devil Slide from the East Side, Jack Nasty. You know, so it was some locals that was popping. You know what I'm saying? As far as locally,
Yeah.
nobody really like got out of Oceanside. You know what I'm saying? Because back in them days, you had, you know, man, you pushing with a cassette tape
Yeah.
or a CD. You know what I'm saying? So
What do you think was like, I mean, from your perspective, how San Diego or even like Los Angeles looked at Oceanside as a city, but even like as a place where artists were coming out of? Do you feel like we were getting respect?
Well, everybody look at Oceanside like, you know, because we ain't San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
we ain't L.A.,
Yeah.
we in the middle. So, you know, they really didn't respect it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't. You feel me? Just to tell the truth, but Osty Wosty, baby. You
Yeah.
feel me? But yeah.
Yeah.
And what about your brother, man? Because your brother started like, you know, going up to LA a lot too and started making
Yeah.
a name for himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how was that? Were you already locked up when he kind of started like creating a little buzz?
Yeah, he
for
kind of
himself?
took off like when
Yeah.
I was in the pen.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just started seeing his little stuff. I'm like, man, he with all the little movie stars but I had hit Dada.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The one who was in our group. Well,
Yeah.
I was in their group. And I told him, I said, hey, man, my little brother trying to do his little thing, man. Why don't you go ahead and throw him a bone or something? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Pause, you know? So then that's when he put him in 2 Snoop Dogg movies. And then he just built a rapport with Snoop and them.
Okay.
And that's when he tried to do his thing. And now he, you know, he on his own. So that was a little stepping stone for him to make way for what he's doing right now.
That's what's up, man. Now, like watching Bishop kind of carry the flag for the city,
Yeah.
like what's that like for you to see? Like, you know, initially y'all were the ones out here
Right.
really
right,
pushing the
right.
line for the city and, you know, getting the name out there. But now seeing Bishop, like,
Major.
yeah,
Major, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing. It's a good push. And he hard.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? He got the beats, he got the visuals, especially the visuals. That's important. See, back in the days, we didn't really have visual. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay, who is that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hearing the stuff on the radio or
Yeah.
passing the CDs out or whatever. But now you got that visual.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got the look, the visual, the Ron Flies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got the
Yeah.
low riders and everything. So, but it's good for the city for sure, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good.
Appreciate that.
How
And
do
you
you
done left the city though.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
No, you
you
good,
wait.
Yeah.
You
Thank
know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
OC. You out of the country now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's major.
Thank you.
yeah. How do you feel, man? Like, just like he said, like you really like in this past 2 years, like the album just dropped, but
Mhm.
like to get love. I know we talked a little bit, you know, about like getting that love in Vegas and all that, but I really feel like your sound and like he said, like the TikToks and all that has really put you in a space where like people want to know more about you.
Yeah.
You know who you are, like
Yeah.
how you got into music, like you know what inspires you.
Yeah.
Like
I'm with the visuals and kind of just pushing everything as far as I can. I mean, I knew that coming from this city, you know, we have a foundation, we have a background, and people know what Oceanside is.
Right.
But it's a respect thing. Not too many people are gonna respect it at times.
I think a lot of that came from the pen. Like
Yeah.
Oceanside
Oh,
got its
yeah, of
name
course.
from like the halls
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the pen. So once the homies start really
I
like
agree
doing
with
their
you.
stuff,
Yep.
that's when the respect came, like
Yeah.
for other cities. You know
right,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
and the notoriety too, because
Right.
a lot of the conversations when I do talk to people about Oceanside, if they are from a different hood somewhere else, it goes to, oh, I was locked up with so and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Starts
so that is a conversation that's had a lot of the times, and I mean, me, you know, being where I'm from, being folks, there's a lot of people that are locked up with some of the folks too.
Right.
So so there's that background on things too. I mean, but musically on that sense, I was kind of just like, my mindset was like, I'm gonna push this shit down everybody's throat, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, you got to.
And then that was my mentality at first, and then I understood from a different standpoint, like there's people around the world that want to see what the West Coast is like.
Mm-hmm.
There's people in Japan that are infatuated with this style, and so therefore they have a whole lowrider community out there.
Yeah.
Same with Europe. So it was I kind of just went from, you know, pushing my hand across the table to being like, okay, there are people around the world that are interested in what Oceanside looks like. You know, they love the sound. And there are other artists from Oceanside that are pushing it, you know what I'm saying, as well. So they love their sound too. So let me give them the visuals of it. Let me let them see what Oceanside is like, because it's a beautiful city, but a lot of this is the gutter as well. So, you know, there's a lot of this that does have that look, but it's more so just a look. It's the characteristic of it as well, because this has, you know what I'm saying, the city has a personality in itself.
Yeah, it got deep history.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, let's show that to the world. So that's kind of what I aim for, more so now with from an understanding point of the visuals. You know, the music I'm gonna do, the music I'm gonna study, I'm gonna, you know, get better. I'm gonna make sure that it becomes more universal and understood, but at the same time, let me not water it down.
Right.
Let me still tell my story, but from a more understanding standpoint. So it's like, let me add the visuals to that, put it on TikTok. People love seeing the cars. People love seeing, you know what I'm saying? People love seeing, you know, whether it's a lowrider or whether it's my Caprice or the homies Caprice or whatever it is. Let me just make sure that people understand what the West Coast looks like, as well as what it sounds like.
And it got a beautiful backdrop.
Right.
Exactly.
Man, you can pull the camera up anywhere.
Exactly.
We live in paradise, man.
Yeah,
I think, like what you mentioned, you
The
had
ghetto by the sea.
right.
Exactly.
Bishop had someone affiliated with 106. Duno came out, who's really well known in Los Angeles, but really has created a huge platform for himself. And he came out to interview Bishop. And he was like, man, it's nice out here. I go on a date out here. Like, you know, and it's like, even thinking about South O, like, essentially your hood, like in the 80s and 90s, like, it's lit. You can't get closer to the beach. Like, you're across the street from the beach.
The park right there.
But it was active.
And
so,
when
like,
you come down there and get your feet whooped on
Yeah.
the wrong day, you know what I'm saying?
And I think that's something about the city,
nah,
too,
nah.
because, like, we're essentially, like, we're a city that tourists come here to vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like, if, you know, most of our neighborhoods are east of the ocean, you know, or where I grew up in Tri-Cities. So it's like, it's so, you can't get further away. You're at the edge of Oceanside, right? And so it's like, I know for a minute, like I think when you were little, you lived in the valley, right?
Yeah, I lived in the valley for a short stint.
Yeah,
And
so-
I mean, like, even growing up, some of my big homies, they lived in Hightower. So that was like, you know, back,
That's
and
the
I caught
apartments right there,
and I caught the tail end of it to where it was like things was really still cracking. So to be in Hightower around like 2000, 2009, 2010,
Right.
even then, you know, it was interesting time.
Apartments,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
And so I think it's
interesting time.
your music gives the opportunity to, like, one, I mean, the visuals highlight how beautiful this city is.
Yeah.
But the music also tells a story of, like, some of the struggles that a lot of the locals have experienced growing up here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were just talking off camera, like your nephew talking about, like, his house getting shot up as a kid, and, like, your kid being inside.
Yeah, my
the
kid was in the
being
house
shot.
with drive-bys.
Yeah.
Don 3
Yeah.
was in the house with drive-bys, you know what I'm saying? In the 90s, it was real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was real.
And I think you're right, man, because I've met a lot of people, like, from other like family from LA, or just, like, people in Dago, like, when they think of Oceanside, they'll name the different hoods of people they've been locked up with
Right.
Yeah.
from Oceanside, right? Because when, you know, in the 80s, 90s, we had, like, you know, several Crip gangs, several Blood gangs, you know, a lot of Southside gangs. And so it was like, and then everyone who even wasn't gang affiliated, them just growing up in a certain neighborhood, you knew that they had certain characteristics about, they knew how to carry themselves.
Right.
Because if they grew up in that neighborhood, they've encountered altercations where, like, they just, you know, you had to learn how to, like, function, you know, around all that. Because I think I've said this multiple times, like, growing up, number one questions we were all asked is, like, where you from? You know what I mean? Riding on 302 bus, 303, 313, like.
Do they do that anymore?
I mean, it's different now, you know, but it was
I
like,
ain't been asked that in a long time.
that was the
Yeah.
man. It was like, man, where you from? And I was like, damn, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like the answer to the question, man, can be, you know, it can ruin your day, man. It could be, you know,
Ruin
for
your
some
life.
people, for some people, it's the last question they ever answered, you know.
Yeah.
Where are you
And
from?
the blacks really,
Yeah.
we never really had like a solid all black neighborhood out here. So it was a different
Talk about
terrain.
that. So just
for
so
the
people
blacks.
understand, like,
Yeah.
in regards to Oceanside, talk a little bit
It
about
was a
that.
different terrain for the blacks, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like the east side had a black presence, you know what I'm saying, in the Deep Valley. But as far as like a solid, if you go down this street, it ain't nothing but blacks.
Yeah, yeah.
So just navigating through that growing up, it was difficult too, because you got the SA hoods all around you, you know what I'm saying? You got the Samoans, you know what I'm saying? And the blacks really wasn't that thick out here. You know what I mean? So that was kind of difficult too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And I think a part of it too, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like our black neighborhoods really came from the military. A lot of them came originally, right? Like they were
Right.
coming from different parts because the military, same thing with our Samoan and Filipino communities,
yeah,
you know, the
yeah,
military
yeah.
was bringing them, but we're so close to the border.
Yeah.
Like even though we're
Yeah.
not Dago, we're still in, like, what, 45 minutes from the border. I mean, growing up, it was like you're at a house party,
Yeah.
party gets broken up, what do we do?
Yeah.
Go to TJ. Like
Yeah.
that was the first
Yeah,
thing. It's like,
yeah.
oh, we're going TJ because it was
Yeah.
so close. And we are sandwiched. Like the next city over, it's like you enter Orange County.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people probably even think Oceanside is in Orange County.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's the military base.
Right.
But we got like this whole mixture of like, we got the second largest military base in Camp Pendleton.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's in Oceanside.
Yeah.
You
A
know,
lot
it
of
might as well be
families-
Oceanside because that's where they do life.
Yeah.
You know?
I
A
mean,
lot of
yeah.
families migrate from the south. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I got homies
yeah.
from Mississippi.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Our black
Yeah,
community
yeah,
is primarily
yeah,
coming
yeah,
from the South because
yeah.
of the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't. Oceanside hasn't been around forever either. You know, this city started like in the late 1800s.
Yeah, 1888.
18, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like we don't have this strong,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and so it's really a mixture of different cultures coming together, and I
It
think
is.
yeah, and
It's a lot of culture, but
yeah.
see, that's what make it interesting out
Right,
here.
right.
Because it's not one thing or
Mhm.
another. It's, you know, you got Samoans, Filipinos,
Yeah.
blacks, whites.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the whites too. You go to the beach and you know what I'm saying. Some of them white boys will drag you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you'll pull up thinking he's just a regular white boy, but he got mitts.
Yeah. For
You
real.
know what I'm saying? Park you. Don't get parked.
well, because they're from the city, man, and so
Exactly.
they had to navigate, and you know, they were asked too, where are you from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it was like
Right.
I think there was just a level of respect,
Yeah.
you know, for everyone. That I think that's what's like a badge of honor growing up here.
Yeah.
And so like your music highlights that,
Mhm.
you know, and it also tells a story of what people are going through now to this day still.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hasn't slowed down. It definitely just kind of keeps the same momentum, you know, as far as that energy goes. You
Right,
know,
right.
Even though, you know, it's a newer generation, so people maneuver a little differently.
Yeah.
But I mean, there have been times that I kind of found myself outside of that mix of being asked where I'm from. I don't know if it's based off of the things that's happened, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, or I guess the music kind of making that happen. But it's I find myself kind of seeing the approaches a little bit differently. Like, you know, when I first started it, and it was kind of figuring out if someone knew me from the streets or knew me because of my music. That was a kind of hard thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, I still had that mentality all the time, but you know, I find myself, you know, not as much in that situation as much anymore. So, you know,
Well, the dynamic changed a lot out here.
Mhm.
You know, for the
Definitely.
good though.
No,
Look
for
how
sure.
they did downtown.
I was about to say that.
That's
So you get locked up before all the development takes place.
Yeah, I did
'Cause-
11 and a half straight.
Yeah.
So,
And so you come home, and all of a sudden, there's resorts everywhere and
that was
hotels.
crazy.
So how was that coming home? And it's like, because before you got locked up, for those that don't know, like Oceanside downtown used to be a lot of like liquor stores and like mom and pop shops,
Yeah.
small restaurants,
Empty land by the
empty
beach,
land,
yeah.
you know, skate park.
Yeah.
And it was like really meant like
Drive-in.
you mainly saw locals down there.
Yeah.
Now when you then, like, you know, fast forward, you come home and there's resorts everywhere. Everything has changed, and it's a lot of tourism down there, and so like everything switched up. So you come home, and what was that like for you?
Well, first, I mean, it was different, you know what I mean? But then I got older
Yeah, yeah.
in the penitentiary.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? When I first hit the level 4 yard,
Where were you at?
I was in Calipat.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was still the same, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? But then when I got out, I'm like, man, what the hell is this, man? We got a little downtown Dago. You know what I'm saying? We got our own Dago down here, Don 3. You know
So
what I'm
when
saying?
you come home, what's the first place you hit up? Like, is it
Come
like
on, man, you gonna ask me that?
one? I mean,
Where you think I hit up?
You hit a Buccaneer. Yeah.
No, Alberto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alberto.
come on, man. Cordesada bien cocido.
Is that what you ordered?
What? Bien dorado.
Yeah.
Sour cream cheese and guacamole, homie.
Yeah.
What? Come on, man. Everybody hit Alberto's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, I go to the park, man, and just breathe that fresh ocean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just feel good, man. But now that I'm older, I respect it because I can take my wife down there. And it's a beautiful situation, you know what I'm saying?
We ran into each other the other day, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
He was crossing. We were both at the intersection. While I was walking towards the beach, and you were walking like north on Coast Highway.
Yeah.
You just looked like you were on a date. Like, but it was
Come on,
like,
man, I'm dating with the wifey, man. But
Yeah.
you walk, man, you look like the president. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's him. Okay, yeah, what's up, bro?
Yeah. I was with the fam, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's one of those moments that I feel like I still get when I'm in downtown now because there's so much tourism.
Yeah.
That it's like when I see somebody that's from the O,
Yeah.
it's almost like
Yeah.
you're just happy to see someone.
Yeah, because
whereas-
you barely see, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Back in the days, you couldn't even go in the store without seeing somebody you know now.
It might have been dangerous back. It was dangerous back in the
Yeah,
days.
yeah. But now it's like, I go to the little bar, I be like, hey, man, where you from, man? He like, oh, I'm from Canada, or I'm from
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here, Australia, or
Yeah.
I'm from here, you know what I'm saying? But it's good in as far as like the business sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that just opened the
For sure.
floodgates for whatever you doing, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like you run into somebody from Australia with your music,
Yeah.
and he get it, now he's sharing it with his people from down there, so
Yeah.
it's kind of good.
I see a lot of people on vacation too, because if you're down there, even probably right now, like you always have all the lowrider clubs
Yeah.
come down, and you see everyone with their phones.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah,
feel it. You know, they come
Yeah.
down. I mean, you come on vacation here for a reason. You want to experience. I mean, we're different from every other coastal city
I
to this
remember
day.
that feeling in my
Yeah.
62. You playing with me out here. If you on spokes, I'm hitting on you.
Yeah. Hey man, you did mention Alberta. I will say this because I know you be in LA a lot, in Vegas and all that.
Yeah.
But I will say this, man. Like Oceanside, and I'm gonna say we have the best Mexican food, man. Hands down, hands down.
I didn't ate
Like,
in LA. Hey,
yeah.
no disrespect to LA and Dago.
or Vegas, but man, it's
Also,
like
man,
yeah,
it hit
Yeah.
different.
yeah. Our Mexican food is.
They put too much stuff in their stuff. They got all types.
They be
I mean,
putting that nacho cheese in it
Yeah,
too. Man,
like
I don't know
the-
why. Yeah, I don't know.
Nacho cheese?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
man.
They be a lot.
Oside do got the. Come
we
on,
got the
man.
best Mexican food.
Yeah.
Like I really,
Right there
I
on
stand
the
on
east
that.
side.
Yeah,
That's the best one.
yeah. I still go to Kalima's.
Yeah.
But man, when you said you hit Alberta's, I was in my mind I was gonna say, man, you went and got a California burrito, but California burritos didn't even exist when you got locked up. And
Man, a
so
taco shop, that's the best one right there, hands down. It was Kalima's, man, but man, I got disappointed down there. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But the taco shop
yeah,
is good, but you got to go in there like this though. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But nah, I'm just playing though. But yeah. Also, I got the best burritos, tacos, all that, man.
yeah.
For real.
What was the thing you missed about the most when you were locked up? I mean, I know family and all that, but like as far as like you said, you had stopped doing music. Like, did you know you were gonna come back to Oceanside? Or some people are like, man, I'm not gonna go back. Like when I come home,
I mean,
I know you. I know,
Oakside is addicting, man.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
live and die in Oakside, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful situation, but it's expensive.
yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? I paid $2,300 for a one bedroom.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the
But
reality.
The
yeah.
same apartments was like $475, $500-$600 back in the
Yeah,
days. But
yeah.
I mean, you got to pay for the good weather.
Yeah.
You know.
And
Yeah.
like he was saying, before we started, he was like, man, we lived in South Oak. We were paying $375 for an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
400 Kelly and
On the
Freeman.
beach.
Right there.
It's crazy.
Come on, man. We had it pretty good, but we didn't really lift our heads up to see how good we actually had it growing up.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Oh, the beach right there. You know what I mean? But
Did you ever think that like eventually it would all be resorts? Like, could you ever like picture like, man, people are gonna be coming to vacation here?
no, because I still remember the park right there by
Yeah.
the transit center. You know,
Yeah.
people used to have their low riders out there,
Yeah.
laying down right there, just chilling. Now, you know, they just messed it up.
When you,
But in a good way.
Yeah,
though.
I hear what
You
you're
know
saying. I hear
I'm
what you're saying.
saying? Man, they took the drive-in down. We used to sneak in the drive-in.
Yeah.
Hide me in the trunk, homie. I want to go see CB4.
That's damn.
So when you come home, man, you see the music scene in Oceanside. Like, what are you thinking? Because even your nephews are on. Like,
Yeah, man,
like,
it's a blessing,
yeah.
man. I taught Don 3 how to rap when he was like three or four. You know what I mean? So yeah, everybody blowing up, man. It's a beautiful situation. I mean, we had our time,
Right.
so now you got to let the youngsters have their time. You know what I'm saying? And they doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I look up, man, I just see major stuff happening, man. The visuals is perfect. You know what I'm saying? The beats, the heat is coming. So they coming for y'all out there, man. These youngsters got something to say, man. For
Yeah,
real.
man. Bishop, you carrying that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think
He
that's
holding the torch right now.
No, for sure. And I think,
Don 3, F Neff, all y'all. You know
yeah,
what I'm
man.
saying?
I think that, like, seeing that, and like I said, it's happened fast. Like, at least that's what it feels like, because I feel like it was just like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you were just out here, like, just kicking it.
Thugging it.
And now
True
it's like,
story.
yeah, now you're on planes, Mexico, on boats. I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
to see how fast it's
Straight.
happened. I think for the city, we're all proud. But at the same time, it's like we feel like we've been, with you.
Yeah.
But it literally feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, which
That
is
you
what
were
I
like,
want. I want
How does
that.
it feel, man?
Yeah.
Feels great. It
Yeah.
feels great. I'm happy. But at the same time, I know I still got a lot of work to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not I don't want to become stagnant and there's a lot of personal growth that can happen, and as well as getting better through
your
everything.
craft,
Through
yeah.
everything. Yeah. So I never want to feel like there hasn't been one time that I felt like I've done enough or that I'm done. I understand that there's still a lot of growth, a lot of practice, and I could learn as much as I can.
Right.
There's a whole business side of things, but there's also the artistic side of things that I can just kind of just keep going,
Yeah.
try and thrive, which, and it means a lot for the city to feel that way too. If they, I just want to show people that it's possible.
Yeah. And then also, like, you have a very, like, even though I know your dad's not from here, like, a lot of Oceanside right now is mixed. We
Yeah.
got, my kids are mixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you being half black, half Mexican.
Yeah.
Like, that's very, for people that don't know in Oceanside, that's very normal.
Yeah.
To
it is.
have, like, and here in the city, there's a lot of kids that are half black, half Samoan, half Mexican, half Samoan, half
Yeah.
Mexican, half Filipino, half black, half white. I mean, like, it was inevitable for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to school together, and
The
it's just like,
dynamic of
the
the
dynamic.
city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
what it is,
It's
right?
very
And so
common.
it's like
It's very
other
common.
people in other areas, I think they can't understand it, or they can't wrap their mind around it as much, because it's like we don't have a lot of neighborhoods. I mean, we do have certain neighborhoods that are specifically like predominantly one culture, one race. But for the most part, even if you live in one of those neighborhoods, you're gonna go to your classroom's gonna be like, you're gonna
Right,
be in there
yeah.
with black, Samoans, whites,
Yeah.
everything. And so what ends up happening is we just got a lot of mixed families now.
Yeah.
And so like I think that's a big part too, because it's like some people can relate to that,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
biracial and like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
has that been too? Like having to navigate that? Because do you feel sometimes you can never meet everyone's expectations?
I kind of don't really think
Like
about
culturally,
it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really try and think about it from other people's expectations. I think about it as like just remaining true to myself.
Yeah.
There is one side of things that, as a person, I'm going to get to certain people as far as like, what relating to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's a other side of like political things, you know what I mean, when it comes to politics that,
Right.
it's not really, I understand that is never
Right,
going to be met
Right.
because, I could say certain things that within my music that people can relate to generally and universally, but I try and keep it to that general sense instead of mentioning certain things or mentioning that I wrote brother or mention that, you know what I mean, like,
But that's
just
only
to kinda
California.
Not
That's
to
a
be too specific.
Yeah,
that's a
you know?
California thing. I don't think other people can
Yeah.
understand. If you're not from here, you would never
They
be
just
able to
want the
understand
music.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
really care
exactly.
about
So
that.
Yeah.
good music, man. That's all they really.
And that's
Yeah.
more. That's Southern California. Like
Yeah.
we get it because this is where
Yeah,
But I think you're transcending beyond.
yeah, and that's why I
Yeah.
try and break that mentality as well, but also just making sure that people understand me universally
Yeah.
and relate to it universally.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that's been a lot of my career is breaking old mindsets and old habits,
Yeah.
and understanding that I'm not only becoming older, but I'm becoming, I need to approach a lot of things in my life different.
Right.
So approaching the music with that growing mindset, is going to be necessary as well.
Yeah.
And just approaching, my lyrical content, everything, with the right mentality. That's kind of how I feel about
And
it.
even like on the lyrical sample, I've said this to you before. I was like, man, you kind of remind me of The Game, because it's like I can tell that you grew up listening to a lot of East Coast.
Yeah.
A lot. And I remember, I think you told me your favorite album all time was like Illmatic, right?
Illmatic is
And I was
my
like, oh,
favorite
that
rap
makes
album.
sense. I said, because he
That's
kind of
my
reminds me
favorite
of The
rap
Game
album.
in the sense where it's like he has this East Coast like lyrical sound to him,
wordplay, yeah.
but everything is very West Coast because that's been your surroundings.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a good comparison, or who do you see
I
kind
feel
of
like that's the best comparison, honestly,
Yeah.
because of that. If you look at my favorites in order is Pac, Biggie, Nas, M and J.
Mm-hmm.
That's my top 5, and then number 6 is Andre 3000. So it's like those I pull from all of those, and all those have the that different sound to it.
And all of them
but,
from the East Coast,
Yeah.
like essentially even Pac.
Yeah,
was from,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
From
Mine
a-
too,
from
but
a
mine
different
go
area.
back though. Cool G Rap, Big Daddy
Yeah,
Kane. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
The first draft.
The
You know what I'm
originals,
saying?
the originals, the originals. So
Yeah.
it's but that's what I grew up on. So even like a Tribe Called Quest, like
Mhm.
that sound is what I grew up on. That was what my mom listened to a lot of the times, and then even my relatives, that's what they listened to. So that was what I heard. So Illmatic, I do feel, in my opinion, that's the best hip hop album of all time.
Mhm.
All together as a whole, like just it's the best to me. The lyrics, everything, the way that Nas just constructed that album was perfect. And so I tried to take as much from that as I could, and really just apply it, apply it to my own sound, or even the Reasonable Doubts, or even like having like Big L's sound,
Right.
his wordplay. It's just that cadence. It does something. You know what I'm saying? It caught my ear at a young age, so that was what I fell in love with personally.
Yeah, and you can hear it.
Yeah,
And I think I told you that even before your first project. Like you were just putting out like certain things.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, you remind me of the game, bro.
Yeah, it
Like,
was. It was a lot more dominant in the beginning, and then I kind of found different ways to make it so that way it kind of has more West Coast sound, but I don't know, something about the simplicity of it in my head. I make it too overcomplicated
Well, I
for
think
myself.
Daniel from MadStrange, he always, it was the first time I heard it, but he was like, man, it has to have a repeat. People got to be able to put it on repeat. Why would someone want to put this on repeat? And he has the repeat value.
Yeah.
And so you just have mentioned like he's got a few songs that you see people use all the time on specific situations, right?
Yeah.
And so you've kind of created those hooks or those songs that it's like, oh, this song is used now when people are trying to put a
Once
specific,
you do that, you made it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
If somebody got a rest in peace, homie, and then they play When I'm Gone,
Yeah.
please don't you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, and that's and that just came from years of just studying music too. I mean, one of the things that I study a lot is like choruses wise is 80s pop.
Yeah.
80s pop and 80s rock. Like for some reason that just had the most contagious sound to me, So I study a lot of that and just kind of how they structure certain things in their songs and like I said, apply it to the best way that I can.
And I think it's like, again, that repeat value. I was listening to an interview that 50's on, right? And they're asking him like, man, why did you say on In the Club? He was like, the whole it's your birthday. And he's like, man, I just knew like
that they was
it was gonna play. It's like, and essentially that's the birthday song now. And he was like, man, Stevie Wonder must be mad at you because he pretty much that became the new birthday song. Like everyone plays it because it's attached to a moment now. Yeah, and it's a moment that takes place every day for somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah. Moving forward, man, I know Mission Ave too. Like, who'd you work with on the album?
Oh man, I got a gang. I got blessed with a gang of features on there. I kind of went from having one feature throughout 5 projects before. I went 5 projects with just me, and then I kind of just got myself to understand like, look, I really gotta just get a similar sound from certain people that I felt was right. So I had to piece it up over time. So I mean, altogether, I have Inhale, who's Nate Dogg's son, a good homie of mine. TC3 from San Diego, from West Coast. I have Doggy Style from San Bernardino. I have
Is Doggy Style signed to Death Row?
He's not. He's still
he's
independent,
just,
but he has a song. He has a song with Snoop.
Okay.
He worked around these guys.
Right.
D-Boy 223 from Carson, whose dad is Booyah Tribe. He's part of Booyah Tribe.
Okay.
One of the originals. John Gibbs from Oceanside, who's one of the reasons why I started doing music. An amazing artist. That I was actually, I was a few years younger than him, so I watched his growth, and then he was eventually signed to Interscope for a little bit. And then I have Yellow Hill from West Side of LA. I have MC Bob from Linwood, the homegirl Ivory from Watts. And I don't think I'm missing anybody else, but basically with the features that I aim to do, I didn't want to really depend on bigger features. Basically the way that I looked at it, if you look at like Doggy Style, the album by Snoop, he has Lady of Rage, he has Corrupt, he has Daz, he has all these people that were within his direct circle.
Right.
It wasn't none of the features, I feel like none of the features were too dependent on a bigger star. So it wasn't like I reached out to someone that was bigger just to kind of bring in that and expect that to drag me somewhere else.
Right.
On a higher level. Like, nah, I'm going to get people that are around the same age as me that are, you know, that I feel like could really contribute to the West Coast sound. And I feel like every single person that I have that's featured on there contributed to that the best way that they could on every part.
And you worked on some of their projects too.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's like it's already organic.
Yeah,
as
I
it
worked
is.
with all them personally. I think the only one that I hadn't, Ivory, MC Bob, TC3, John. That was my first
Song with John.
release song with John Gibbs. We have worked in the past, but that was the first thing that got released. Which Ivory I met at a party in Orange County, and she performed, and she's dope. Like, she's hard. She, you know what I mean? She's really good. MC Bob I met on a personal level too. We had a previous song together that's unreleased. You know, like I said, all these people, I feel like they have that individual West Coast sound, and I feel like it's very dominant. So it's like, okay, you know, and like I said, I feel like they all contributed to the album the best way they could.
Right.
And, you know, from the get-go, it was like, this, you know, this is...
When you're constructing the song, did you do the song first and then you reached out to him and said, hey, I think you'd be good for... Or what, did y'all kind of do it together?
Yeah. I think, you know, the first feature that I had on there was Doggy Style.
Okay.
So, you know, Doggy Style hit me up one day, and he was like, hey, I got this track, you know what I mean? It's going to go out on the album if you could get this done. He sent me Your Worst Nightmare. I heard it at the gym, and she was crazy. It's produced by Ace Beats, you know, and the second I heard it, I was driving. I hopped on the freeway, I was driving, and I wrote the verse on the freeway in like 30 minutes. So that was like,
As you were about to go meet with him?
No, I didn't even meet with him.
Okay.
I recorded it here, but this is all within 3-4 hours of me hearing the beat at first. So I'll write it, come here, record it, send him the stems. That's what it is. And then, you know, we release that, do the music video. He comes out here, we do the music video. And then he was like, well, we got to get one for you. So then we just, you know.
That's love.
I
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
you know, I think Doggy Style, you know, he's a good homie of mine. You know, he's like a brother now, and it's you know, his patience with the whole process, because I never done a feature before. That was like my first time really giving someone stems and being like, yo, like, this is, you know, how is this? And it took me like 4 tries.
Because he hit you back and he said, can you redo it? Or
Yeah,
it was,
it was more so like, yeah, like, this is cool. Like, okay, let's try something else. You know, he was as honest as hell, you know what I mean? And so, like, when I sent him No Hitter, he was like, this is the one. And so he gave me that back. And it was just mine and his verse, which now it's like, if you kind of listen to the other features that I have, like The West, which is one of the songs on Mission Ave 2, it's one verse from me, one verse from Ivory, one from Yellow, and one from MC Bob. But I feel like No Hitter, I feel like I should have, you know what I mean? I could have had a second verse on there, so that way it was more of a complete, but it was just me and him. But it was like, all these things that I'm learning, I could apply to the next time. You know, so with John had the chorus on one song. With the song with Inhale and TC3, Inhale's on the chorus, and I have 2 verses, and TC3 has 1 in the middle. But I feel like the way that it was structured, it made it right. You know, so all of it was, the whole album was a learning process within the quality. That's another thing that Doggy Style taught me. He was like, yo, you know, you got to get this engineered so that way it sounds right. You got to get it mixed so that way it sounds right. You know, because quality is a big part of it. And I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just like, okay, when I get it mixed, it sounds cool. Instead of really like picking it apart and being like, okay, this is what needs to be done differently. So, you know, Doggy Style taught me a lot when it came to that too, which, I mean, I was never told. So I'm like, okay, now I have this project that has features on it that I feel like contribute, but it sounds good as well.
Right.
And I feel like it's, you know, I took my time with it instead of rushing it. So I mean, it's been almost a year since I dropped the previous album that, you know, I feel like Mission Ave 2 just kind of is in a place of its own. But now I'm excited about what I could do next, and now I'm thinking about how can I make the next project better? How can I make this a step further? How could I get to the next level of it? It's funny, I think about, I try and like think about my career as like in like, because you know, with music terms, sometimes it's hard for me to really understand things. So I kind of translate it into like, where would I be if I was like a basketball player? Like, what would I really? And at this point, I feel like I'm a sophomore in college waiting to win his first championship. So I feel like in that is going to take me to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Eventually going to get me to the league.
Which is crazy, man, because like essentially you're 2 years in, right?
Yeah.
Like 300,000 followers on Instagram.
Man,
like that's crazy.
That's a blessing,
like
right
Yeah,
there.
it really is.
Yeah.
like even, and I think a lot of it was like, I mean, because the TikToks too, like you got a big following on TikTok, you know, and it was like sometimes it was like, I don't know, man, you posting like 40 videos for one song.
Yeah, took a
Like,
lot of trial
until-
and error.
Yeah,
Took a lot of
but it's
trial and error.
like you'll see like the 7th video post that hit 1 million.
Yeah.
It went viral.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, and
Yeah.
now it's going.
And that was a lot of the team too, because so basically, I mean, so everything is in house. So my manager, and his brother do all my videography, all my photography, which they also own the label, which they, you know, this is, you know, they also own the clothing brand that I wear, you know what I mean, that I model for. And it's, you know, they started really pressing me out there with the modeling and stuff. And so all these reels and all these music videos that you're seeing with all the visuals, it's all in house. And just us having a common knowledge of Oceanside and what's what and where's where, you know, we discuss what could look best for what song, you know, and what really fits the aesthetic of the song.
Right.
So, you know, we try certain things, we get inspiration from other things, and then, you know, it's really just like you said earlier, it's just a 1-2 punch. Like, okay, I write the song, we get it done, get it mixed, let's make a reel for it, and then let's go shoot the music video, but let's also shoot these reels simultaneously so that way I have promotion for it.
Right.
You know? So it's really just killing 2 birds with 1 stone with everything.
And then, like you said, like the modeling stuff, like, because you've done stuff with Pro Club.
Yeah.
I know you've worked with other brands
Lefty
too.
County, a few
Yeah.
other brands.
Yeah, so it all helps.
Yeah, it all helps. And the modeling started before the rapping, which was cool. So, and then being able to be comfortable with that and get in front of a camera and, you know, eventually just finding my own lane with all that, it was definitely a blessing. And, you know, talking to my manager at the first time at a house party, the conversation wasn't about music. The conversation was, when are you gonna let me let me model for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually within that came the conversation of we were at an event at Oceanside Car Clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me how far I wanted to take the music. And that conversation just started it all. And my answer then is my answer still the same to this day. I want to be one of the best to ever do it. So not here, ever, anywhere.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I feel like, you know, this is a big part of my foundation, the city, you know, and you know, it's good to have that, you know, competitive aura, but like my mindset is beyond this. Like, you know, I don't want to get stuck in the mindset that I'm the best here. Like, I want to be one of the best ever. And then with that, you know, branch out, you know, and then bring everybody with me as well. You know, I have a competitive mindset, but I want everybody to win. You know, so it's like, let me just keep grinding, let me keep doing what I'm doing, and see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
So that's really where my mindset is. You know, I never just want to be stuck in you know, I just want to do things for here. Like, nah.
If you could work
you know,
with anyone, like, who would you like to work with? Like, who's a dream collab for you?
I have a few. Overall, I mean, yeah, Snoop would be one. Larry June would be one. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of the people that I grew up on that I really would like to have collabed are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So like Tupac's, you
Mhm.
know, the Nipsey Hussle and Mac Miller are two of the ones that I listen to a lot. That you know, I'm very like upset that I can't work with.
Rest in peace, Nip.
Yeah, rest in peace, both of them. You know, but there are other guys that I listen to, like Big Crit, that I listened to a lot growing up that I would, you know, love to work with. But yeah, I would say those are some of my dream features.
Yeah.
And you know, there's probably countless other ones that I just can't even think about right now. You know, J Rock, Kendrick, all the Black Hippie, all the TDE.
Right,
you know,
right,
they
right.
were a huge part of my foundation and you know, growing up and being an artist. But Kendrick probably I would say Kendrick's probably the biggest that I would want to collab with, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know, and Ruthless, man, the umbrella, I saw a thing when NWA, like when the movie came out,
Yeah.
and they had the Ruthless, like, tree, and it showed everyone that, like, came through Ruthless, like,
Yeah.
even Will.i.am. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it went all the way down to everything, Interscope, like,
Yeah.
but, like, you mean Eazy, outside of Eazy, man, who else, did you get the opportunity to, like, bump shoulders with anyone else from the industry? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, just in transition, Drew Down, Bill Shoulders in Cleveland. We didn't really meet too many rappers.
But you said you did with Bone Thugs, like,
yeah, Bone and Biggie was on the plane with us coming back to LA, so that was a cool little experience.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And speaking of Will.i.am, when you look in the Source magazine,
Mhm.
the one I was talking about on the Ruthless Relativity page, at Band Clan,
Mm-hmm.
he's right like next to us. But come to find out, that was Will.i.am.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we was rubbing elbows with some major players back in
Yeah.
the days, you know what I mean? But it was cool though. So Yeah, we would just focus on basically us, man, trying to, man, we young, we trying to get our stuff out there. And radio was the biggest thing
At that time,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
90s.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was like going platinum on, on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So
Yeah.
once we hit that stage, as far as 92.3 The Beat, man, we felt as though that, man, we almost there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah,
Did you
that
have
was
a moment,
blessing.
kind of like what Bishop said with Doggy Style, where kind of like, because I think when we had Rec on here, he had told us when he was doing music here in San Diego and he was working with out in Dago, he was doing music with them too. But when he went to LA and even being around Quick, that he started learning more about how to work around the studio as far as engineering and the professionalism once he touched with folks in LA.
yeah.
Did you ever have that experience where it
Well,
was
back
kind
in
of
the days, it was 4 tracks and 8 tracks and 8 ats. You know what I'm saying? To get 16 tracks, you had to get 2 8 ats.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So the dynamic was just different. Everything was like analog back in them days. And if you really think about it, man, analog got that pure punch. You know what I mean? It's different than digital.
Yeah.
But you could do a lot with digital right
Right,
now.
right.
They can, man, they got plugins that
You do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make it sound like analog, but back in the days, it was just more like natural, like music, So, yeah, that was the flavor back then. But we didn't really meet too many rap. Back in the days, man, we really wasn't even trying to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? We didn't really want to get under the camera. Don't be taking no pictures of us. We was just. It was kind of weird back in the day.
But do you think
now
a little
the
bit?
cameras everywhere.
But you think that's a little bit because of your lifestyle too? Because at that time you were kind of, you
Yeah,
were still involved in
yeah.
certain things, so it was
Nobody
like
really wanted to
be on camera.
film or a
Yeah.
camera. I don't know, man. It was weird, but luckily, I used to walk around with a camcorder, so I got footage from like 94, 97, when y'all was young. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I still got that footage, but yeah, it's just the dynamic was different back in the days. You know what I'm saying?
What was? Did you get the opportunity to talk to Biggie?
No.
No.
Like I said, man, look, we even went to Cleveland,
Mhm.
and Cocaine was out there.
Oh,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So-
Legend.
and he remembered that to this day. So shout out to Cocaine, But yeah,
And then-
that was pretty big.
How was like being with Bone around that time?
Man, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. They really didn't talk to us.
Yeah.
One of them, the tall, dark-skinned one,
Mm-hmm. Crazy? Is it
Yeah.
Crazy Bone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he came up to it, but the homie, he sparked some of that L.A. Kush up,
Yeah.
and I kind of like, broke it up. But we was in the back of the little tour bus, and they was in the front, and we went to the little practice rehearsal studio, sound check. You know what I mean? But we was on some. Man, we ain't really trying to talk to nobody.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Unfortunately,
Right,
the
right.
mindset was just different back in them days,
Right.
But we was just trying to get on,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But man, those are still experiences that like
Yeah, man.
I
that
didn't
was a
know, man. It's
beautiful
part of our
situation.
history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a beautiful situation, man. The O was turned up. Like, just to have people from the penitentiary call home, be like, man, we heard you on the yard, man. Because every day at 9 o'clock, the 9 o'clock bomb came on.
Mhm.
And we made the radio drop for that. So every time Julio G come in for the West Side Radio,
Yeah.
we made his intro. And I believe we made Julio G's first radio drop.
okay.
So that's kind of a little tag that we can kind of be like, yeah, man, we did that.
That's dope.
So,
That's what's up.
yeah, it was a beautiful situation, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, anything else you want to say in regards to like, Mission Ave 2?
Man.
Just like creating the process of creating that album. What people to look out for next? Like, what's
Shit.
Bishop on right now?
Man, Mission Avenue 2, man, is probably my most trying piece of work. I would definitely say that, a lot of my work in the past was, it was all part of a learning process, but I feel like this was probably the biggest because I forced myself to take my time. I forced myself to study. Even personally, I went through a lot of changes mentally, from like just learning about myself as a person throughout this process, being sober, breaking my sobriety, going through a breakup, all this stuff that kind of like changed my mental and just me as a person, strengthening my relationship with God and within all this, and just applying that to this album, building relationships within the industry, understanding that, I do have a long ways to go and that I have a lot of work to do, which I always knew that, but, going through these trials and tribulations throughout this whole process, it definitely, I feel like I put it in my album, but it definitely showed me that I could go farther and that I can always do something better, which, I feel like at this point in my career, I do want to, just keep going. I just turned 29, so I feel like I just need to just keep pushing. Eventually I'm going to get to where I need to be, and I just have to put in the work to make that happen. And, like I said, just personal growth. As of right now, it's just personal growth with me and strengthening my mental, because I need my mental to be at its best in order to make this art form work. And that's really what I need to do, and that's what's going to happen. And then, just bettering myself as a person, and eventually getting into acting and different, modeling for other companies, and, just strengthening those bonds within the industry. And, I would just say that, just look out for what's coming next.
Yeah. And I think it's how you treat people, man. Like, I always tell people that all the time. It's like, man, like, treating people with respect and showing love, it doesn't take a lot, man, but it goes a long way with people.
Exactly.
And I think one of the biggest things I hear when people are like, oh, man, I ran into Bishop, they were like, man, that dude's cool. Like, he stopped, he chilled, he dapped me up. Like, but not only that, like, we chopped it up.
Yeah.
And I think everyone, that's like a common thing that you hear about you, how approachable you are.
Yeah, I mean, I just make sure that I remain myself. I understand that all this could be taken away at any time, and that I just need to be a better person and just remain myself.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I do remind myself every day, that it's I haven't, even if I do get these accolades and these awards that I wish to one day have, like, I'm still gonna be me at the end of the day. And I'm still gonna be Alex, which is the bottom line and the basis of all of it. So how can I make that? How do I grow based off of that? Which, I mean, I'm human just like the rest of the people around me, and I appreciate the support, because without the people that support me, I wouldn't have any of it. And to be able to go out in public and for people to recognize me and take pictures, like, I mean, I was at the Del Mar Fair before this for maybe 20 minutes, and I took like 5 pictures. So it's like, I'm grateful for all of it, and I thank these people when I do meet them for supporting me. That's one of the things I make sure I always say, because without that, I wouldn't have this.
Yeah, my grandson is a fan too.
You know what I mean? It's thank you. And without your son Lorenzo, applying, rest in peace to that man. Taught me a lot about work ethic.
Appreciate it.
Funny, crazy side stories.
Did you play basketball with his son?
Yeah, I did actually. So Lorenzo, I went to middle school with Lorenzo for a little bit, and Lorenzo whooped my ass every day in basketball. I try and make sure that I'm always, on my game, but he would just, whoop me every day. And every day I would go home, or I would stay after school and just practice my jump shots, my crossovers, whatever it was, until I finally beat him one-on-one. Unfortunately he's not here, rest in peace to that man.
China boy too, man, my nephew. Baby Loke's son. So.
Yeah, for real. Rest
Can
in
you
peace
give
to
my
both of
grandson
them.
a shout out, man? Xavier, man.
Yeah, shout out Xavier. What camera looking at? Shout out Xavier from Bishop Snow. I'm right here with your aunt.
That's love.
The legendary Slim. But you know what I mean? So, that's the crazy thing. I told him when I seen that shirt, I was like, man, like Lorenzo taught me a lot about work ethic. And I'm a competitive nature. I'm a competitive soul as it is. So it's like, for me to actually be able to, discuss that on here, I apply that to what I do with rapping as well, because if I see that there's something that, that I need to be better at, or somebody's doing better than me, then I'm like, let me just stay in my lane and let me do, how do I get better? How do I do better? How do I, become the best and still just maintain my lane, which is exactly what, one of the things that Lorenzo taught me. So that's,
I geeked out, man, because I'm a big boxing fan. And this dude has a couple like big time boxers that follow him. He got Anthony Joshua, heavyweight, former heavyweight champ. Caleb Plant, former super middleweight champ. Yeah, and it's like, cause even in the gym we be playing your music, cause it's like you could work out to it, man. So it's like, how is it like? Cause that's just two of people that I'm fans of that are like obviously vibing to your music, but you have several people that are very well known that are like, how is it having that, like knowing that it's you cool. Got like,
it's a trip. It's definitely a trip, because one of the people that did follow me for a while, I mean, he kind of unfollowed everybody on his Instagram, but it was The Rock, and then I kind of found out that he kind of did that on his own. So it's like, even then, like, he still knows who I am, which is crazy. Right. So. Him, Waka Flocka follows me, Paul Wall follows me. They both reached out. Who else follows me?
I think The Game, right?
Yeah, The Game follows me.
Yeah.
He's reached out to me about working. Oh, Larry June.
Yeah.
He's reached out to me. I talked to Larry June. It's crazy because Larry actually reaches out to me like before he was, because right now he's working a lot, but he would reach out to me and ask me how I'm doing personally, how my mental's doing, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Because that's somebody that I listen to on a daily basis too. But there are a gang of people. I mean, even like Mitchie Slick, Mitchie Slick followed me, and that's somebody that I grew up listening to, whose music got me through a lot of hard times.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that have followed me and given me a lot of recognition, which is cool to it's cool to have that.
I told Bishop, man, I think when Anthony Joshua or Caleb Plant, one of them, started following you.
Yeah.
I was like, man, we got to get out to Vegas, man. He's going to do one of these ring entrants one of these days. We're going to see
about
Bishop.
Caleb,
We're
we're talking about Caleb. And it's crazy because Caleb actually just recently connected me with D-Smoke, too.
Yeah.
So now,
So hard,
So, went out of his way, like, just to connect us, which is a blessing, you know what I mean? Because he felt like we could do something. So it's like, all right, little things like that, it kind of just reminds me just to keep going,
It's been 2 years, man. In 2 years, this dude is like, but I think it's the work ethic, you know what I mean? The work ethic. And I think, again, like I said, how you treat people, man. You've been on level 4, like treating people.
Yeah, it's all about respect.
It's all about respect.
It's always about
Respect goes a long
respect,
way.
man.
Yeah,
It really does.
It don't cost a lot, man. And it's just like, even, like, again, like, people, I say it all the time. People are like, man, I just met Bishop, man. Dude was cool.
Yeah, you got to give respect to get respect, you know what I mean? So it's like, as long as they understand that I'm just another, I'm just a human too. You know, I'm just chasing my dreams, keeping my foot on the gas pedal.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's love, man. Well, I appreciate y'all, man, taking the time. We finally got an Oceanside pioneer.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me.
Your
man.
name's been
It's
dropped
love,
so many
man.
times on these podcasts. I
Man.
think we had John Gibbs
Yeah.
and DJ Rec on, and your name got brought up. We had your brother Baby Low. Your name got brought up. And we had Coach Frank Z, DJ Frank Z. He brought you guys up. 'Cause he's from the South too.
Yeah.
He's from the South too, and so
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's a good look, man.
For real. I
so
appreciate
slow,
it.
man.
Keep
Yeah.
striking.
Trying, man.
Man, you doing more than try, man.
Trying,
You
man.
on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, sir.
it's love, man.
Yeah,
we out, man.
likewise.
From MadStrange, we out.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.